Whispers spread fast. Queen Camilla was eyeing Princess Diana's heirlooms, and when Catherine found out, she lost it. From shock to full-blown fury, palace walls shook as Catherine confronted aides in a dramatic showdown. These weren't just jewels, they were sacred, and Camilla had crossed the ultimate royal line. Catherine discovers Camilla's move. It started with a whisper, the kind that spreads quickly through quiet palace corridors. Princess Catherine wasn't supposed to find out this way. But in a place like Buckingham Palace, secrets rarely stay buried. And when a senior aide hesitantly mentions something about heirlooms being reviewed for relocation, Catherine's heart stopped. "What heirlooms?" she asked, voice steady but eyes sharp. The answer hit like a punch. Pieces that once belonged to Princess Diana were being evaluated for transfer to Queen Camilla as private royal collection. At first Catherine didn't react, but then she saw the list. The lovers not cherished Diana's sapphire earrings, the same ones Catherine had worn at state banquets, and the one that truly made her blood run cold, the matching sapphire ring, Diana's engagement piece, now Catherine's symbol of legacy. That moment, according to palace staff, was the breaking point. She just froze, one aide shared. Then she stood up and said, "Absolutely not." All tone wasn't allowed. It was lethal. Within minutes, Catherine was pacing, demanding answers. She stormed through the West Wing, insisting on clarity. How dare anyone even think of moving Diana's pieces, and worse, why now? The palace had always operated on tradition and quiet maneuvering, but this felt personal. She went nuts, one insider confessed, not in a dramatic way, but emotionally. You could see the pain in her face. It was betrayal. What infuriated her most wasn't just the thought of Camilla wearing Diana's tiara. It was the symbolism. These weren't just jewels, they were memories linked to a woman who had been both deeply loved and tragically lost. Catherine wore them not to flaunt power or to honor Diana, for William, for their children, and for the people. How could Camilla, who once refused the Princess of Wales title out of fear of public backlash, now reach for Diana's most sacred treasures? A question that soon rippled across the palace. Word got out. Leaks began surfacing, discreet but clear. Royal watchers picked up on the whispers. Headlines speculated in Catherine. She didn't deny any of it, because she knew exactly what this meant. The battle over Diana's legacy had been reignited, and this time it was being fought in silence. Symbols and sapphire. She carries Diana's legacy with grace. That ring isn't just a ring, it's a statement. Royal insider. And as the tension simmered, Catherine found herself not just defending heirlooms. She was now defending history itself. Historical legacy of Diana's heirlooms. To understand why this feud struck such a nerve, you have to understand what these heirlooms truly represent. They are not just glittering jewels, they are icons of a woman the world still mourns. Diana's sapphire engagement ring, now worn by Catherine, wasn't just an engagement token, it was a symbol of public love, personal tragedy, and royal transformation. Millions watched as Charles slipped it onto Diana, his hand in the 80s, and millions watched again when William gave it to Catherine, a promise, a tribute. A full circle moment. Then there's the lovers not tiara, a royal showstopper once adored by Diana and later famously worn by Catherine herself. Its towering diamonds and pearls made headlines every time she stepped out with it, not for its value but for the connection it signaled. Even young Princess Charlotte. Future appearances were expected to include Diana's legacy pieces. Many believed the tiara would one day rest on her head, not just as a style choice, but as a generational symbol of Diana's lasting influence. That's what made Camilla, his interest, so controversial. She had once refused the Princess of Wales title out of respect or fear of being compared to Diana. She'd said she didn't want to step on those memories, and the public had cautiously accepted that. So why now, after becoming queen, or she suddenly eyeing the most emotionally charged heirlooms in the collection? Insiders suggest it was about power, or perhaps even insecurity. With Catherine rising in popularity and being embraced globally as the monarchy's modern face, Camilla, his position may have started to feel overshadowed. One aide whispered, "It's not about jewelry, it's about symbolism. Who gets to carry Diana's legacy? That's what this is." And the answer in the public's eyes was clear. Catherine was the rightful heir, emotionally, symbolically, even spiritually. She hadn't tried to be Diana, but she had honored her quietly, elegantly, without ego. So when word spread that Camilla might be trying to reclaim or reposition these heirlooms, the backlash was immediate and sharp. "It's like trying to rewrite history," one royal historian said, "and the public won't stand for it." Now the palace faced a problem no protocol could solve. The heirlooms weren't just locked in vaults, they were locked in hearts. And only one woman had truly earned the key. As tensions deepened, the next move wasn't just about diamonds or titles, it was about who the monarchy would trust to carry its soul forward. Camilla, position and motivation. To understand why Queen Camilla would dare reach for Diana's heirlooms, you have to understand the complicated role she's always played in royal history. From the beginning, she was the outsider, the other woman. The reason many believe Diana's marriage fell apart. Camilla didn't just walk into a crown, she walked through fire to get there. And while she may now wear the title of queen, her shadow has always been Diana. That shadow never left her, not in headlines, not in public perception, and definitely not in the hearts of the people. Which is why many were shocked when rumors surfaced that Camilla was quietly reviewing certain pieces in the royal jewelry vault, not just any pieces, Diana's personal heirlooms, the ones long believed to be safeguarded for Catherine and for Charlotte. Insiders say she never made a formal request. She didn't need to, as Queen Camilla now has access. And with King Charles his blessing, she can technically work or reassign anything in the collection. But that doesn't mean she should. What surprised even her closest allies was the timing. After years of deliberately avoiding Diana comparisons, Camilla seemed to be changing her strategy. Some said it was about legacy, others whispered it was about power. She wants to cement her place in the history books, said one palace source. And those heirlooms, they're not just jewels, they're royal currency, symbols, tools. In public, Camilla has never spoken about Diane jewelry, but behind palace walls it said she hesitated to let go of certain items, even those originally promised to William and Harry, his wives, the fear that they'd be used to further glorify Diana's image, something Camilla has tried quietly and methodically to survive for decades. She didn't want those pieces fueling the Catherine as Diana's heir narrative. 1/8 explained she's already seen Catherine rise. The public adores her. Camilla doesn't want to disappear. Trying to claim Diana's legacy isn't just controversial, it's dangerous, especially with her past still echoing loudly. The infamous Camilla Gate scandal intercepted phone calls, the decades of public resentment. Many believe Camilla worked hard to bury that image, but this move, if real, could drag it all back into the light. The Queen Consort was supposed to bring dignity and unity. One royal commentator said this feels like sabotage. Even those who support Camilla acknowledge the risks, and yet the temptation seems to have proven too strong. After all, every crown is built on symbolism. And in Camilla, his eyes, those heirlooms may be the final missing piece in her struggle to be seen, not just as accepted, but as permanent. But she wasn't counting on Catherine, because while Camilla moved quietly behind palace doors, Catherine was already preparing her response, and she wasn't going to use words. She was going to use Diana's jewelry and the power of public grace to send a message. No one could ignore it. Catherine's strategy, outward handling. When Catherine learned what was happening, she didn't hold a press conference. She didn't storm out of the palace. She did something far more powerful. He put on Diana's earrings and smiled. It happened at a high-profile charity gala, just days after the heirloom drama began leaking. Catherine stepped out in the sleek royal blue gown, but it was her accessories that grabbed headlines, glinting beneath her signature blowout wear Princess Diana's sapphire drop earrings, unmistakable and iconic. It wasn't just fashion, it was a statement. She knew exactly what she was doing, said a royal stylist who worked on the look. She was saying without a single word, "These belong to me, and they always will." Photos from the evening went viral in hours. Instagram exploded. Royal fashion accounts hailed it as one of Catherine's most elegant moments. But behind the polish was purpose. Catherine's strategy was clear: fight subtly, but fiercely. She knew public opinion was her greatest weapon, and she used it wisely. In the days that followed, she was spotted again wearing Diana's sapphire engagement ring, holding hands with William during a school visit. It was soft, sweet, and completely devastating to Camilla's quiet campaign. It's Catherine's ability to stay composed while sending messages that makes her so powerful, said one royal commentator. She doesn't need to argue, she just appears, and the people respond. Inside the palace, some aides were rattled. Rumors swirled that Camilla was furious about Catherine's public choices, that she felt provoked and boxed out. One report even claimed she asked for a schedule adjustment to avoid overlapping events. But the damage had already been done. By appearing calm, collected, and connected to Diana's legacy, Catherine drew a clear line between herself and Camilla. It wasn't loud, it wasn't brash, but it was brilliant. Social media quickly turned the narrative into Catherine versus Camilla, and the public response was overwhelming. The people weren't confused. They remembered Diana. They saw her grace in Catherine, and they made it clear who they trusted to carry that legacy forward. And while Camilla may hold the crown, Catherine had something far more powerful: the heart of the nation. Catherine's personal stakes. For Catherine, this wasn't about diamonds, it was about Diana. From the very first moment William slid that sapphire engagement ring onto her finger, Catherine understood what came with it: not just royal duty, but the weight of memory. That ring wasn't chosen randomly, it had belonged to a woman whose legacy could never be replaced, only carried forward, and Catherine never tried to replace Diana. She honored her quietly, intentionally, and with love. Family insiders say Diana's presence lives in the Wales household every single day. William speaks about his mother openly with their children. He calls her Granny Diana and shows Charlotte old photographs. George has asked questions Louis, too young to understand, has seen the sparkle in his parents' eyes when they speak of her. So when word reached Catherine that Camilla was eyeing Diana's heirlooms, the very he says that held that emotional thread between past and future, it hit deeper than royal protocol. It hit home. Because those earrings weren't just earrings, the tiara wasn't just a showpiece, the ring on Catherine's finger wasn't just historical, it was sacred. Each item was part of a promise between William and Catherine, between Diana and her future grandchildren, between the people and the memory of a says they never stopped loving. She wears them for her family, for her husband, for Diana. Not for power, said a family friend. Catherine didn't ask for Diana's legacy, it was given to her not by decree, but by the people, by William, and by time. That's why the idea of someone else, someone once responsible for Diana's heartbreak, reaching for those same symbols felt like a violation. And it wasn't just about possession, it was about representation. Catherine had built her royal image with care, steady, graceful, unwavering through hospital visits, school events, diplomatic tours, and raising her children in the public eye. She had earned more than respect. She had earned trust. She knew what the public saw in her. A mother or wife, a future queen who listened, who connected, who never tried to be Diana, but who carried her quiet light. But what people didn't see was Catherine's internal struggle, the pressure to uphold the legacy, the comparisons she'd never asked for, the endless microscope of royal life. At one point, insiders revealed she nearly turned down her title, afraid she'd never live up to it. And yet she stayed, she learned, she adapted, and slowly she became the symbol of the monarchy's future. That's why this fight wasn't petty or shallow. It was personal, emotional, sacred. She wasn't just defending a ring, she was defending everything that came with it. And just as the palace hoped it might quietly die down, Catherine's silent defiance was about to trigger something far louder. Because what began as tension over heirlooms was now unraveling into a full-blown palace conflict. Internal palace conflict escalates. The jewelry may have stayed in its velvet-lined drawers, but behind the palace walls a cold war was burning. The atmosphere turned sharp, whispered loyalties emerged, lines were being drawn, and aides suddenly found themselves choosing sides between the queen and the woman who would one day wear the crown beside William. Insiders say Queen Camilla, his reaction to Catherine's public appearances, the ring, the earrings, the tiara, talk was far from composed. She was livid, said one staffer. She felt undermined, even humiliated. She believed Catherine had gone too far by making a but in truth it had already gone public on its own, and the cracks grew deeper behind the scenes. Whispers emerged of Camilla trying to reclaim or control access to Diana's heirlooms. She allegedly raised concerns to senior staff, citing protocol clarity and respect. But no one missed the irony. The same woman who had once avoided Diana's title was now reaching for Diana's treasures. Catherine, meanwhile, wasn't asking permission. She knew the people stood with her, and so quietly did William. Sources say he had private key conversations with King Charles defending Catherine's right to wear and safeguard the heirlooms gifted or promised to her. It's believed Charles was torn as both king and husband. His loyalty was split, but even he couldn't ignore what the nation was seeing unfold. A queen who still struggled to earn affection, and a future queen who had it in abundance. Inside the palace, factions began forming. Some aides, older and loyal to Charles and Camilla, whispered that Catherine was too bold, but younger staff and more than a few senior figures backed her completely. Catherine doesn't play palace games, but she's not afraid to stand her ground, one insider said. Tensions peaked when, according to a leaked account, Camilla allegedly panicked during a private planning meeting after another of Catherine's public appearances. She'd hoped to take control of the royal calendar, but her team warned her every event Catherine attended drew twice the press coverage. The message was clear: the queen might wear the crown, but Catherine carried the people. The conflict wasn't over jewelry anymore. It had become a battle of influence, symbolism, and legacy. And as it all escalated behind closed doors, the world outside began to take notice. Because when royalty feuds over power, it makes headlines. But when they feud over Diana's legacy, it breaks hearts. Media frenzy and public reaction. It didn't take long for the public to catch on. One photo, one headline, that's all it took, and the internet went wild. Catherine caught wearing Diana's tiara again. Camilla furious as Kate channels Diana at royal gala. The war over Diana's jewels has begun. Social media erupted. TikTok was flooded with side-by-side clips of Diana and Catherine walking, waving, wearing the same iconic sapphire earrings. Instagram accounts, we posted every outfit, every jewel, every stare down between queen and princess. And YouTube commentators didn't hold back. "Camilla is trying to rewrite history," one said. "But Catherine's already become it." Memes exploded. One viral post showed Catherine in Diana's tiara with the caption, "There's only one queen in our hearts." Others were far more biting, using old clips of Camilla from the 1990s overlaid with dramatic music and captions like "Still not her jewels, still not her legacy." What started as palace tension was now a cultural explosion. Royal watchers from London to Los Angeles were picking sides, and the divide was stark. Those loyal to William and Catherine saw the heirlooms as sacred family treasures. Diana's memory, they said, belonged to her sons, and to the woman William chose to share them with. To them, Catherine wasn't just wearing jewelry, she was carrying a flame. "She honors Diana in a way that's real," said one royal fan on TikTok. "It's not about looks, it's about love, motherhood, and quiet power." On the other side, a handful of traditionalists defended Camilla, his position citing royal hierarchy protocol and her current status as queen. But even among longtime monarchists, support was lukewarm. Camilla's past still loomed too large for many. Diana's shadow was simply too powerful to erase, and public polls reflected it. A staggering 79% favored Catherine as the rightful heir to Diana's jewelry, with over 60% saying Camilla should respectfully keep her distance from the princess's legacy. Even international outlets picked up the story. Vogue ran a feature titled "Kate Middleton and the Power of Symbolic Dressing in Style," called it a subtle but devastating royal clapback. Behind the palace gates, this wasn't just a fashion crisis, it was a full-blown perception war, and Catherine, without uttering a single word, was winning. "It's not just that she wears Diana's pieces," one journalist noted. "It's that she wears them with the same grace, the same warmth. It feels right." Meanwhile, Camilla reportedly grew frustrated with palace PR advisors. She felt boxed out, blindsided, and increasingly unpopular. No matter how hard she tried to solidify her role, the people kept looking back and looking to Catherine. And yet Catherine remained unshaken. She wasn't gloating, she wasn't retaliating in anger. She was simply holding the line with William by her side. Because while the headlines screamed drama, the truth was much quieter. This wasn't about fame. This was about family. And Catherine's next move would prove that even more clearly, because while the public watched closely, she and William had already begun planning their most personal and powerful step yet. Catherine's planned retaliation. If there's one thing Catherine has mastered inside the monarchy, it's strategy wrapped in softness. She doesn't storm rooms, she doesn't throw tantrums, she chooses her moments, and when she moves it resonates. So when whispers reached her that Queen Camilla was still pushing to access Diana's heirlooms, possibly even hoping to reclaim them entirely, Catherine didn't panic. She plotted behind closed doors. Sources say she began coordinating closely with William, not just as her husband, but as Diana's eldest son. Together they started working with trusted royal archivists and advisors to secure formal status on certain heirlooms, potentially locking them down under private family trusts or legal protections Diana may have left behind. It's about security now, one insider revealed, not just emotional, but legal. They wanted in writing, and they're getting it. At the same time, Catherine crafted her public response with surgical precision. She began wearing Diana's pieces at events that mattered emotionally: children's hospitals, maternal health visits, engagements with charities. Diana on